I was offered a little movie called Avatar.
Matt Damon doesn't mind admitting that back in 2006, he was offered by James Cameron to play the role of Jake Sully in Avatar that would eventually be played by Sam Worthington.
Jim Cameron called me. He offered me 10% of Avatar.
Oh, God.
So since the movie made $2.7 billion at the box office, Matt would have made about $275 million, give or take.
You will never meet an actor who turned down more money than me.
Just like the audience was during a talk at the Cannes Film Festival last year, his Ford versus Ferrari co-star Christian Bale was shocked when Extra brought it up as they promoted the movie back in 2019.
Turning down Avatar. Do you, in your career,
You've got to understand everyone's going to want to know about that because everyone's thinking,
what an idiot.
Was he thinking?
What was he possibly? It's true. I have no defense.
Well, Matt does have a defense. At that time, he was in the middle of shooting The Bourne Ultimatum.
And he wanted to shoot during our post-production, and we always needed more work in our post-production. And I needed to be around. I needed to be available to do more work in our post-production. For moral reasons, again, I told him I couldn't walk away from this thing that I'd spent all these years doing.
Well, now that Avatar The Way of Water is dominating the box office 13 years after the original, James Cameron tells BBC Radio that he's pretty sure Matt isn't exactly pinching pennies.
He's beating himself up over this, and I really think, Matt, you're kind of like one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Get over it.
Matt did say that back then, James seemed to have a little bit more empathy for him.
He was really great about it, and he said, he really celebrated that decision. So at least I got a pat on the back from Jim Cameron. He was really lovely.
He had to do another Bourne film, which was on his runway, and there's nothing he could do about that, and so he had to regretfully decline.
I don't regret any of the movies that I've done or the choices that I've made. It's everything shapes who you are and the next thing that's going to happen to you.
So what you're saying is that you use that burning, painful black hole inside of yourself that turned down Avatar.
Turned down Jim Cameron. I turned down Jim Cameron. What an idiot.
But the idiot says the loss wasn't really the money, it was the lost experience.
Ultimately, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I missed out, really, mostly it's going to sound like, because it was so much money, but I missed out on the chance to work with him, and I hope that comes around, because I would do that for free.
Well, Matt, it sounds like you got a deal, because James still wants Damon to be in one of the 3 remaining Avatar sequels.
Must do it. We have to do it so that the world is in equilibrium again. But he doesn't get 10% for that.
Obviously, both Matt and James's comments are kind of in jest, but I actually think Matt benefited from not being in Avatar. Like James says, I'm sure the Bourne movies certainly grew Matt's bank account. And in the last few years, he's done movies like Interstellar, The Martian, Ford vs. Ferrari, and The Last Duel. And he probably wouldn't have been able to do all of those movies given Avatar's long shooting schedule. And he'd be locked into 3 more sequels, which would further reduce his varied filmography. That's something that Zoe Saldana has talked about. She's grateful to be in these huge franchises, but they eat up a lot of her time. What do you think of James poking fun at Matt, but still saying that Matt has an open ticket to Pandora?